Namaqualand in the Northern Cape is, for most of the year, a stark and barren, semi-desert, deserty place, right? It's right on the border of Namibia. It goes into the Namib Desert, where you have these ancient old rocks, some of them beveined with metals, and you have, which when it rains, you'll have a runoff in little streams, but you'll have these kind of like spiky deserty plants and these plants that can endure conditions. The only kind of animal that that you can raise in that area are sheep, merino sheep that can survive in dry, arid conditions and eat these things. But once a year, after the rain, all the bulbs just spring to life, and there is a floral display that goes on for kilometers after kilometers after kilometers that people travel from all over the world to witness every single year in spring. And I hope to be able to go and see it with my very own eyes one day, because it's magnificent. And most of the flowers are endemic to that region, so they don't naturally grow anywhere else on Earth. Okay, and so do you know what bulbs are agriculturally? Anybody?
A bulb is like that. It's something in the ground, and then when the conditions are right, it blooms into a flower.
Yes, like a potato, right? You could plant it, and then it shoots up into a flower with a bud which opens. But yes, you're absolutely right, Issa. It's like a potatory looking thing. And people who live in colder areas, in Durban, we just leave them in the soil, and then they burst into life every year in summer. But in Joburg and in colder parts of the country, people go and dig up their bulbs every year, and they wrap them in muslin and keep them warm in the garage, and then go and plant them again in the spring. These wonderful gardeners. Right. So William Plomer, a South African writer, yes, he had political themes in his poems. He was definitely anti-apartheid, very much in love with the country and the land and the beauty of it. And this poem it's a strong enough poem as just a lyric celebration of the beauty and the rejuvenating powers of nature, and this astounding floral display that happens in this one place of earth that happens to be in our country. The transformation of the semi-desert of Namaqualand into this vibrant carpet of wildflowers every year. It demonstrates Plomer's keen appreciation and celebration of nature and wildlife in South Africa. It talks about and reminds us that life finds a way to survive and renew itself, unlike Ozymandias and other rulers. But life does renew itself. Nature does renew itself, even in the harshest conditions. Okay, so there's themes here which connect to Piet as well, the healing and rejuvenation. Also, people have suggested at the time of writing it that Plomer was also talking about the fact that South Africa will be able to rejuvenate after the harsh denudement of apartheid, that it will be able to spring back to life as a vibrant rainbow nation. Okay, so it goes from this, eyes on the screen, everybody, and I want you to go, ooh, okay. After the rain, it becomes this. Ooh, ah. Everybody goes from this to this. Here we go. Again, the felt revives, imbued with lyric rains and sap re-sweetening dry stalks, perfumes the quickening plains. Small roots explode in strings of stars. Each bulb gives up its dream. Honey drips from orchid throats, jewels each ray seem. The desert sighs at dawn, as in another hemisphere the temple lotus breaks her buds on the attentive air. A frou-frou of new flowers, puff of unruffling petals, while rods of sunlight strike pure streams from rocks beveined with metals. Far in the gaunt Karoo, The winter earth denudes, ironstone caves give back the burr of lambs in multitudes. Burr, 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 burr. Grass waves again where drought bleached every upland crawl. A peach tree shoots along the wind, pink volleys through a broken wall. And willows growing round the dam may now be seen, with all their traceries of twigs just hesitating to be green, soon to be hung with colonies all swaying with the leaves of pendant wicker love nests the pretty loxia weave. I indulged in speaking it, the sounds in this poem, because he wrote such amazing sounds. This is a sensory poem. It appeals viscerally to all the senses: sight, sound, smell, touch, and yes, even taste, because there's honey. And if you Google image search like I did, Karoo lamb, you will see the pictures of the new lamb right next to pictures of the chops on the braai. I know, it's awkward, but I mean, hey, you know, apparently it's delicious. Look at the again. All right, look at that again. It's important. He doesn't say the felt revives again. Okay, he starts with the adverb. Again, the felt revives. And then has the V repetition and alliteration. It's coming to life again. And it feels like the poem is a continuation of another thought. And the emphasis is on the again to draw our attention to and to enforce from the beginning, the fact that this is a cycle of nature. We see that in Sonnet 104 as well, where he talks about 3 winters, 3 summers, 3 something. Nature, this is going to happen. It happens again. So don't worry about this hard, harsh winter. This is going to happen. Imbued with lyric rains. This is so dense with imagery. Imbued means soaked in color. The rains are lyric because a lyric poem is something that praises something with honor, adoration, love, and high regard, even a spiritual sense. And so the rains are lyric in terms of that they are worshipped by the sand people who live in that area. They come and create this honoring of the area. Plus, the rain itself has a sound, a lyrical sound to it. And sap it's not just sweetening, it's re-sweetening. Again, it happened last year. It's going to happen next year. Re-sweetening the sibilants, dry stalks, perfumes. Here we have a gerund. Gerund being a word that can be used as a noun and as a verb. Perfumes are things that smell wonderful. And the sap of the plants that's dripping down the stalks is perfuming, is making it smell nice. It's a verb. The quickening plains. Quickening, we had that word before. Remember what poem it was in?
Will it be so again?
Yes. Will it be so again? When they spoke about the soldiers falling like seeds, but we took too long to reap the quickening. Okay, so quickening means coming to life. But he could have chosen another word that meant reviving, coming to life, living. And he chose quickening because not only does it mean coming to life, but he's also speaking about the rapid pace at which this happens. It feels like it happens overnight. Boom, they spring up and you have this show. And emphasizing the speed at which that happens. Small roots explode. Explode as a fast burst in strings of stars. Listen to that sound of the alliteration there, right? The strings of stars obviously being a metaphor for the flowers. Each bulb gives up its dream, and there's a double meaning on that as well, because the bulbs have been sleeping in winter, and when you're asleep, you dream. And what might a bulb be dreaming of? One day I'm gonna be a flower, or have a whole lot of flowers. I'm dreaming of my racing, but I've woken up now because it's raining, so I've given up that dream. And then it literally gives up its dream of being a flower. It's like the bulb's best day. Honey drips from orchid throats. orchid-like throats, actually, not actually orchids there, because it's not in the tropics, but that is the look of the flowers, right? He is personifying the flowers and showing how the honey drips from their throats. Honey evokes taste as well as sight, as well as smell of honey. Jewels each raceme. Now the gerund, because we could say the honey drips from orchids' throats and it jewels the racemes, like bejewels them, puts jewels on them as it catches, it twinkles in the sunlight, that gold. But he could also be saying that jewels each raceme. So each raceme of flower, a raceme is a stalk that's got a whole lot of flowers on it, unlike a daisy that's just got one bloom on the top. A raceme's got a bunch, like a few popping off it. Okay, so he might be saying each raceme is a jewel, or are jewels as well. He's actually saying both. He was using it both. And then if we were feeling like, my goodness, he is honoring this, his adoration is celebrating it so much that it almost feels like he's worshiping this natural phenomenon. Well, he is. The desert sighs at dawn, and that sigh, personification of the desert, the sigh, the relief. We're coming to life. Sun's coming up. It also feels like that's the sound that you can hear as things come to life in the desert. And then we have these parenthetical dashes. Okay, so parentheses. Parenthetical means it's like an additional phrase or clause that's added to the main clause, to the main sentence. And I always tell my students, comma, it's just kind of there parenthetically, it's an additional bit of information. Brackets, parentheses are like a whisper. And dashes is like a shout. So he's going, boom, notice, as in another hemisphere, northern hemisphere, right? The temple lotus, he's talking about in India. Because in the temples in India and Southeast Asia, they have lotuses, because lotuses have enormous spiritual significance. Lotus flowers, incredibly beautiful, as you see here. They do this like weird thing. At night, they close up and they go back down, whoops, into the mud again. And the next day, whoops, out they come in the sunlight and pa! So they are connected with spirituality, with having this magical quality. Obviously, they have great connections with rebirth and are even worshipped in some cultures. They remind humans of the godlike energy to generate and regenerate life, seemingly from overnight and from nothing. As in another hemisphere, the temple lotus, and look at the plosive sounds. Plosive sounds, if you're talking about alliteration, you know sibilants are your F sounds. Your fricative sounds are like your f and your v. And your plosive sounds are anything that pops off the lips. Your pa, your ta, your da, your ba. They explode out of the mouth. Breaks her buds. It's almost like if you were a teeny, teeny little thing, insect you could hear. But because you're a human, you only hear. If you've got very good hearing, you might hear. Okay. On the attentive air, even the air itself is paying attention to this magical, mystical, natural phenomenon. So he's alluding to sacred flowers in Indian temples and Southeast Asian temples, bringing in a very clear element of spirituality into the poem. Oh, it gets very camp now. A frou-frou of new flowers. So frou-frou was a word that came about to describe a style of French women's fashion in the 17th century, in the 1600s. So with these flouncy petticoats with lots of lace and ribbon. And as the woman walked past, it would be like this sound with the satin and ribbon and taffeta, right? So that became something that is a highly ornate, feminine fashion, a frou-frou of new flowers. It's a beautiful, beautiful gerund that he's using it. He's using it as a noun, a frou-frou of new flowers, like as a connected pronoun, like a flock of geese. But it's an onomatopoeic term with 17th century roots, right? Puff of unruffling petals. So we have all these onomatopoeic terms, all these words that sound like the sound he's describing. Unruffling petals, and they're unruffling. He uses the word unruffling because what ruffles? Dresses and petticoats. That's the metaphor he's using. And now he has all this frilly, ruffling, frou-frou stuff. And in stark contrast, he brings in rods of sunlight, striking pure streams, the streams that have come off of the rays from rocks beveined with metals. So let me take you back to here. You can imagine the streams going over these rocks and these veins of metals in the rocks, and the sunlight, the shafts of dawn coming through. And it's such a fascinating image because he's describing something that's totally intangible. You can't touch sunlight, right? You put your hand right through it, but it feels strong and hard and sharp in comparison to these flowers. Look at the alliteration. Sunlight, strike pure streams, veined with metals. The rocks themselves come alive. They have veins which carry life and pulse. And he's going through the area, and it feels like we're having a trip, a road trip through the area. Now we end up far in the gaunt Karoo, right? That isn't experiencing this Namaqualand phenomenon of this frou-frou of amazing flowers. And the gaunt Karoo, gaunt means emaciated, thin, right? The winter earth denudes. So earth's being denuded by the winter, and the winter earth itself is denuding. Denuding means stripping away. Ironstone caves give back the burr onomatopoeia of lambs in multitudes. Now, there are caves in the Karoo that Stone Age and Iron Age cultures inhabited. The Khoi herders went through there. They were an Iron Age culture. So he is alluding to that, as well as the stone that has metal in it and iron, giving back the burr of lambs in multitudes. It's they're echoing, right? And also the Khoi herders used to keep their livestock in those. They would shelter in those caves. Multitudes. It could be just like, look, the many sheep. And have they got some llamas there as well? Oh my goodness, that's hilarious. Check the llamas. I went to the llama festival in the Midlands the year before the plague. There's an actual thing. No, I lie. It was an alpaca festival. So these are probably alpacas in South Africa. Well, they're llamas or alpaca. Anyway, look at multitudes of sheep plus the burr is coming back in multitudes because it's echoing in the caves. Okay. Grass waves again. Waves, he could be describing the thing, the noun, wavy grass, as well as the verb, hello, I'm waving, as well as the personification of the grass going, hello, we've grown again. Multiplicity of meaning on these images and these words. Where drought bleached every upland kraal. So now we're in the upland, and the drought has bleached out all the kraals, taken all the color off them. But it's waving again because the drought has ended, because now it's after the rain. Sonification, once again, a peach tree shoots along the wind. The gerund here. The shoot of the peach tree, right? As well as it's shooting. It's shooting like a plant shoots out a branch with leaves and buds and flowers. Plus, he's using the metaphor, it's shooting along like a gunner's shot. And we know he is using the metaphor of a gunshot because he says pink volleys. A volley of gunfire, we say, right? Along the wind is blowing and these buds open again. Pink volleys, pink shots through a broken wall. Look at that broken wall. This is the man-made stuff has been bleached out. The wall is broken. It's been denuded, but nature, strong, powerful, just shoots through it, even with the delicate blossoms. There's this renewal, there's this power. And willows growing around the dam. That feels so South African and so kind of like, yeah, it's a man-made dam, right? These weeping willows that are growing may now be seen with all their traceries of twigs. Look at the sound. Traceries of twig, the alliteration reinforces the fact that they become dry and brittle and denuded or stripped bare of their leaves in winter. But now they've got these little buds on them, just hesitating to be green. At any minute, they're going to suddenly go, boom, look at the millions of little leaves in the willow tree. So he's talking about he's now got to the point where we're getting to the point where we've moved from in Namaqualand through the barren Karoo, but the lambs have been born, to the upland kraals where the peach blossoms are happening. Now we're getting to the dam. This picture is just showing you what they're about to become. Couldn't find one of them hesitating with just a little buds on them, but imagine that. And it also looks like you're tracing it, like you trace an outline of the tree. It hasn't got its full shape, which we see with the leaves on it, right? It's just the outline, the traceries. So he's talking into sending us into leaving the poem with what is about to happen in the future, which reinforces the fact that this endures and continues before and after the poem. Soon to be hung with colonies all swaying with the leaves of pendant wicker love nests, a pretty loxia weave. Loxia is the, I think it's the black-headed Cape weaver. It's a type of weaver bird. It hasn't come back yet. It's still on its way back from the northern hemisphere, but it will be there. They will arrive soon in the summer. It's soon going to be warm enough, and it's soon going to be enough leaves in these trees. And they love weaving in these in the willow trees, because those branches bend and twist and can make the architecture and the framework of those nests so easily. They're going to come soon. It's important that they're love nests, because, okay, so love nest reinforces that the love that he has for nature and this place, but they are coming to breed. They're coming back to this place to breed, to give birth to the next generation of loxia birds. And they're pretty. And soon, we're about to go into the new South Africa. And exiled political prisoners are soon going to be able to come back to the country they love and become part of and propagate our rainbow nation. Okay. Let's hear what effect is created by beginning the poem with the word again. Line 1, let's hear.
I've got this one. You said the word again implies that it has a cyclical nature and that nature will always restore itself as it has before and will always continue to do so.
Good, nice, great, super duper duper. What part of speech is Jules, the strange thing around it? Line 8, in the context of this poem, draw on the text to substantiate your response.
Jules is a gerund, but in the context of the poem acts as a verb. By using this, it likens the flowers to precious and compares nature to precious jewels. And by using a gerund as a verb, it is creating a metaphor. Okay, so you said in this case it's a verb, and then you went on to describe a noun. You've got to clarify that you're speaking about an action. Okay, so then Jules is a gerund, but in the poem it is acting as a verb. The action of jeweling something creates extra value onto it, which shows that nature is valuable and precious.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely,
Okay.
Absolutely. Okay. Right. What is the effect of the enjambment in the poem, and how does this enhance the theme? Group 3.
The enjambment allows the poem to flow continuously, emphasizing the continuous passing of the seasons and the cycle of nature, and it quickens the pace to emphasize how quickly the land revives after the rain. Furthermore, the intermittent use of punctuation symbolizes the breathing of the Karoo, positioning it as alive.
Beautiful, beautiful. Issa, are you going for high 90s for English tomorrow?
I'll take a 90.
You'll get a 90.
I'll take one. Like I'm happy with a 90. If
No,
I can...
I'm saying you'll get. If you answer with the clarity elegance, and eloquence with which you've been answering the questions here tonight. You will.
Thank you, ma'am.
What a pleasure. Please click subscribe. It's free. And for more content in this section, click on the playlist.